It was the late summer of 1831 when two missionaries were traveling through Illinois based on what the revelations had told them to do, and stopped in the small town of Paris, Illinois, to preach. One of those missionaries was particularly interesting as he testified of witnessing an angel and of actually seeing the plates of the Book of Mormon. I believe it was David Whitmer. Well, in that audience was a young schoolteacher named William. He heard what these two had to say and was convinced that their message was true. Well, the missionaries preached and then moved on towards their destination determined by revelation, which was Jackson County, Missouri. William couldn't leave until he closed down his school, and then immediately he left Paris and went after them. Along the way, William devoured the Book of Mormon that they'd left with him, and when he got to Jackson County, he even went on to interview the book's witnesses. Finally, William declared, "I was bound as an honest man to acknowledge the truth and validity of the Book of Mormon, and that I had found the people of the Lord." William was baptized. Then, October 25th, 1831, William went east and met Joseph Smith in Hiram, Ohio. And as so many others had done before him, he asked Joseph for a revelation on his behalf. Joseph, of course, inquired of the Lord for William, and a revelation did come. William wrote it down just as Joseph dictated it. William said, "This revelation brought great comfort to my heart because it answered many questions which had been on my mind with uncertainty and anxiety." It was only later that we learned the miraculous significance of that revelation. William would later go on to tell of putting 5 questions to the Almighty in secret prayer. And before that revelation, he gave those questions to the Lord and told the Lord that if in that revelation those questions were answered, it would be a sign to William that Joseph Smith was indeed a prophet of God. The result of that test, William said, "I now testify in the fear of God that every question which I had thus lodged in the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth were answered to my full and entire satisfaction. I desire it for a testimony of Joseph's inspiration, and I, to this day, consider it to me an evidence which I cannot refute." That revelation answering the 5 secret questions is known today as Doctrine and Covenants, section 66, and that young schoolteacher was none other than William E. McClellan. Perhaps what is most compelling about this story is what comes after. By 1838, William E. McClellan was an embittered enemy of Joseph Smith and the Latter-day Saints. It was he, McClellan, who asked for permission to flog Joseph Smith when he was a prisoner in Liberty Jail. It was McClellan who, along with others, ransacked the home of Emma Smith, stealing such valuables as a horse and saddle. McClellan left the church, and he never came back. And yet, to his dying day, McClellan would affirm the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon and the validity of that revelation dictated by Joseph Smith, considering it, he said, as evidence of Joseph's prophetic calling, which I cannot refute. And yet William would die an enemy to the faith and to Joseph.